Hi, my name is Alden, and I'm the second from speaker. My opponent claimed that prostitution dramatically increases the spread of diseases. She also said that prostitutes are constantly raped and sexually assaulted. And she also claimed that prostitution contributes to human trafficking, and also that's trafficking of men and women and children as well. For the first point, where she states that prostitution dramatically spreads diseases, the criminalization of prostitution is what causes the spread of diseases, because people who are in the prostitution industry aren't eligible for health care and other things because they are in an illegal business. According to John Haltwanger from the Elite Daily, in his article, "Why Legalizing Prostitution Would Make America Healthier?" Violence against sex workers is associated with inconsistent condom use or lack of condom use, and with increased risk of STI and HIV infection. Violence also prevents sex workers from accessing HIV information and services. So because these people are in the prostitution industry, and because they do not have good health care, and also they can't access contraceptives and whatnot, they are constantly victims of violence, which leads into the next point, where she says that prostitutes are constantly raped and sexually assaulted. They are raped and also sexually assaulted because people get mad that they contracted HIV or AIDS from a prostitute, or like, for example, a prostitute got pregnant and they just don't want to deal with that problem. So a lot of reasons why, or a lot of the times that prostitutes get killed or get harmed are because of those reasons. Criminalization also prevents these crimes that she states from being reported. So these people that commit these crimes, such as rape and sexual assault, are free to roam the streets because prostitutes and other people never report it. So according to Ruth Jacobs from the Women's News Network, until law enforcement officials can be viewed as safe people for sex workers and trafficked individuals, violent crimes and trafficking will go widely unreported. This is because prostitutes and other sex workers and trafficked individuals, they are too scared to go to law enforcement, because when they go to law enforcement, they can possibly get jailed because they themselves are in an illegal business. Which leads into my next quote, which is also from the same person, Ruth Jacobs. "If I would have sought the assistance of law enforcement to help me escape my trafficker, I would have gone to prison for crimes I was forced to commit." So these victims it's difficult for them to break out of this abusive cycle because there's no one to turn to. And criminalization is the cause of that, because law enforcement would just end up jailing the victim instead of helping them. The third point was that prostitution contributes to human trafficking. There is a difference between sex trafficking and prostitution. According to Melissa Ditmore from Alternate, sex workers engage in prostitution for many reasons, but the key distinction here is that they do it voluntarily. They are not coerced or tricked into staying into the business, but have chosen this among the options available to them. So there are many people in the prostitution industry that choose to be prostitutes because there are many things that many benefits that are in the prostitution industry that they enjoy, such as flexible hours, and it's also like a profession that they enjoy doing because, for obvious reasons. Legalization of prostitution also leads to a decrease in human trafficking, according to John Hadwiger from Elite Daily. In 2001, Germany legalized sex work. Over the course of the next 10 years, instances of sex-based human trafficking decreased by 10% within the country. So Other countries in the past have legalized prostitution, and this led to decreases in sex-based human trafficking, and it also led to decreases in other violence crimes as well. Another thing she stated about human trafficking is that children were involved in the profession as well, in prostitution. According to Jasmine Oloa, as she reported on a newly written up California law in the Los Angeles Times, she states that lawmakers agreed that SB 1322 was well-intentioned and promoted the idea that there is no such thing as a child prostitute, as children cannot legally consent to sex. Which is true because under our current laws, no minors or people under the age of 18 can consent to sex. So there isn't really anything or such thing as child prostitution, because in prostitution there are consenting parties. And since children cannot consent legally under the law, then they cannot be a prostitute. They are simply just sex trafficked individuals.